Hundreds of protesters are making their way to the Arizona state capitol today, voicing their opposition to changes made by the Trump administration. This is part of a nationwide movement happening in all 50 states. And here are some of those other protests around the country.
12 News journalist Sean Rice is live at the Capitol after speaking with people who showed up and the organizers. And Sean, they tell you that the word got out pretty quickly today about this planned protest, largely due to social media.
Yeah, Troy and Caribe, I'm told this was all organized through social networking sites like Reddit and Discord, if you've heard of a few of those. It's the way younger people are communicating nowadays. I'm told by local organizers that they heard about this 50 protests in 50 states movement just a couple of days ago. The word got out pretty quickly, and now here's the scene. Hundreds, if not thousands, of people outside the Arizona state capitol. And after speaking with people who gathered here today, the vast majority are in opposition to changes being made on topics like immigration. And they tell me they simply want their voice to be heard.
Your jobs!
We're elevating a lot of individual voices. Collectively, our voice is you are not alone.
That collective in the hundreds Wednesday as protesters gathered on the front lawn of the Arizona state capitol.
We don't idolize politicians! We hold them accountable!
One of the loudest in the crowd was the voice of Ricardo Reyes.
I don't understand the callousness of this presidency towards my community in particular, the Latino community, the Hispanic community.
The threat of mass deportations has his community on edge. Standing outside of the doors where bills become laws, he hopes that changes can be made to a broken system.
What we need to do is revamp the whole immigration system, and that's what we've been fighting for 20, 30 years now.
For others,
I came down here mainly because of my Social Security.
Protesters like Jillian Barfield feel their livelihood is at risk.
Trump has said in the past that he would go after Social Security, and then he would say that he's not going after it, then he'd say he's going after it again, and you just can't trust him.
As troopers with Arizona DPS staged nearby, protesters remained peaceful, gathering as a part of a nationwide movement at state capitals all across the country.
Yes, it is a protest, but there's a really joyful rallying aspect to connecting with people who understand where your heart is and understand your desire to contribute to building a better world.
And back out here live, one thing we have not seen so far today is any sort of counter protesters. Local organizers tell me they even took steps to hire private security in case people with opposing views did come out, in case it got hairy at all, which we've seen in previous days, at least with street racing, things of that sort. This has been entirely peaceful, so that has not happened. Many protesters tell me they think a reason why there have not been any counter protesters is because all the people in favor of the Trump era administration changes, they made their voices heard at the ballot box this past November. So there's not much for them to come out and protest about. We're live at the Arizona State Capitol. Sean Rice, 12 News.
And am I wrong, Sean? It looks like the crowd has thinned out a little bit. I know it seemed like some of the protesters were on a march behind you in our last hour going to another location.
Yeah, Troy, you're absolutely right. This has been going on since 11 a.m. this morning when it was very large, thousands of people potentially. So it does feel as though it's thinned out a little bit. Everybody's really made their way to the front of the Capitol lawn area here, the rotunda in between the representatives and the Senate. So it has thinned out a little bit, but there's no indication that it's going to stop anytime soon. So we'll continue to monitor that.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good, Sean. Thank you. We'll have more on this later editions of 12 News. One of Donald Trump's actions, their protesting, got blocked in court today. The federal judge in this case saying that President Trump's order to end birthright citizenship is unconstitutional. Another judge in Seattle did the same thing, but that ruling was set to expire coming up tomorrow.
And while that plays out in court, today Mexican soldiers arrived at the U.S.-Mexico border. Their deployment is part of an agreement that paused tariffs on Mexican imports. The goal is to crack down on fentanyl trafficking. The troops will be posted at spots along the border with high rates of illegal migration and drug and weapons trafficking.
And for more continuing coverage, make sure you download 12 Plus. Click on the Border Impact tab, and you can see all of our immigration stories that are affecting Arizona and the rest of the country.